So the creature that I picked was the unicorn, the famed unicorn, very popular mythical creature. So I'm going to start off with just the appearance of a unicorn. You probably already know, but it's a white horse-like body with a single horn coming out of its forehead. And that's basically it.
Now, it's interesting that you say horse-like body, because I think the unicorn, it's just a horse.
Yeah, it is just a horse with a horn on it.
All right, then.
But when I looked it up, the official thing was horse-like. So I gotta say
Fair
that.
enough.
It's official.
It is legally distinct
the
from a
information I
horse.
copy and pasted from Wikipedia said horse-like. Because someone is unnecessarily hedging.
So I wanted to see what if these are real. But for a long time, people actually thought that unicorns were real. So as early as the ancient Greeks, so unicorns weren't in like Greek mythology, but Greek writers of natural history wrote about them. And they actually believed that they were in India, because India was like a far-off land that was very foreign to them. And there's a book titled Indica, which it translates to On India. It was written in the 5th century BC. And in that, they describe the unicorn as wild asses.
Nice.
Wait, like donkeys, not horses, so horse-like.
Yeah, so it like varies between donkey and horse.
That's a lot less regal than I imagine a unicorn being.
Yeah, it varied depending, I don't know why, but yeah. Actually, I think the more traditional one was the donkey, but more modern is horse-like. But in this book, they describe them as wild asses with a horn, a cubit and a half in length. A cubit and a half is like around 28 inches. And they said the horn was like white, red, and black. It was 3 colors. And Aristotle actually described a one-horned animal that he called an Indian ass. So presumably he was talking about the unicorn. And people's beliefs of the unicorn continued through like the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. You could find records of the unicorn in bestiaries and even like cookbooks where they were like, this is how you prepare a unicorn. And there were biblical associations with them too. So the unicorns were depicted in a lot of like religious art, and they were associated with the incarnation of Jesus being born into like flesh and blood. So there were a lot of like paintings of a unicorn like leading to like a baby that's like coming down from the sky, and that's supposed to be Jesus.
They're like reverse storks. Lazy storks. They're like, I'll bring you to the baby, but I'm not going to bring it to you. Like,
yeah, I mean,
get your shit. You're going to be a mother. Get your shit in gear.
Unicorn can't fly, so what do you expect it to do?
Can't they?
They cannot. That is not a power of theirs. And then Marco Polo actually had a unicorn sighting, and he described it as, quote, scarcely smaller than elephants. They had the hair of a buffalo and feet like an elephant. They have a single large black horn in the middle of their forehead. They have a head like a wild boar's. They spend their time by preference wallowing in mud and slime. They're very ugly brutes to look at. And then after that quote, I actually found this on Wikipedia. After this quote, they said the sentence was, it was clear that Marco Polo was describing a rhinoceros. So he didn't actually see a unicorn. Apparently it's just a rhinoceros, but he thought it was a unicorn. And eventually people stopped believing in them. And the depiction of unicorns in biblical works, in like biblical religious art, decreased as people realized that unicorns weren't real.
Well, maybe Marco Polo went back and was just like, hey guys, all these unicorns that are like all over these religious paintings, I saw one. They're just big, ugly rhinoceros type things.
We should stop putting them in our paintings.
Yeah, Marco Polo's realization was, oh, I thought that was a unicorn. It's a rhinoceros. It's, oh, this is what people were referring to when they say unicorn, and it's ugly.
Yeah. So obviously they're not real, but I want to look at what if they were real. And I was specifically wondering about like unicorn powers, because I thought they'd have like a lot of powers related to the rainbow and stuff, maybe. Surprisingly, all my research had nothing to do with the rainbow at all. Rainbow was not mentioned once. And they don't actually have that many powers or abilities that I could find at all. But the one thing that they do have is that their horn has healing effects. So it can like purify water. It can neutralize poison. It could just be used as like a medicinal thing for healing. And in the past, when people actually believed that unicorns did exist, there were fake unicorn horns that were like sold and stuff. And they used narwhal tusks as a main thing that they would use to fake the unicorn horn. So they'd like crush up narwhal tusks and like sell them as a powder that you could put in water, and that's supposed to purify
crush
the
it
water.
up, that seems like a waste of effort. If you're faking it anyway, you can just grab some like chalk,
Limestone,
I guess, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly how they sold it. Maybe they sold it as a whole thing and the people crushed it up. I don't know.
Maybe it was a display of crushing the horn. It's like here's the OG horn, and now I'm crushing it for you right here at our cool little stand.
Like a tableside crushing of the horn.
I still feel like it would be easier to just like, carve some quartz or whatever into a horn shape and say it's a horn. I don't know, like.
I mean, I don't know how difficult it is to find narwhals, but maybe it's not that hard.
I mean, I never found one.
And the fact that they use the narwhal tusk is actually the reason why we have the modern depiction of the unicorn horn is like just a pretty straight, long, white horn rather than the white, red, and black horn that I described earlier, is because people thought narwhal horns were unicorn horns. And sometimes they would make like cups out of like walrus tusks and pass those off as unicorn horns as well. And it was believed that if you drank out of a unicorn cup, then it would like protect you from being poisoned. So a lot of royalty used unicorn horn cups. So it was very valuable, very high demand. So obviously, if they were real, then this value would carry on, and they would also be in high demand, especially like specifically in the medical field. That would be very sought after. So how would people find these, or how would people capture these unicorns to get their horns? It might not be that easy. So a unicorn is basically like the symbol of purity, and their behavior reflects that. So they would flee from just like normal humans because in theory people sin. So they're not pure, so they would rather die than be captured by an impure human. So they're like, it was believed that they would like run off a cliff before they get captured by a human.
So they're really easy to capture because they killed themselves.
Sure, I don't know.
Sorry.
I guess that story doesn't really hold up. But the idea is that they're difficult to capture. They'll run away from you. There is a way to capture them. The only way to capture them is to use a virgin, because virgin is like the symbol of purity. So, and they like that. So they'll be like attracted to virgins. And there's an entry in Leonardo da Vinci's notebook, one of Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks. It says, quote, "The unicorn, through its intemperance and not knowing how to control itself, for the love it bears to fair maidens, forgets its ferocity and wildness, and laying aside all fear, it will go up to a seated damsel and go to sleep in her lap, and thus the hunter takes it." So apparently Leonardo da Vinci believed in unicorns, and he thought that virgins were the way to capture them. He's a smart guy.
He also believed a lot of things, so maybe we should take that one with a grain of salt a little bit. I don't know.
And you had a whole episode where you talked up Leonardo da Vinci and had like inventions of his.
Yeah, you literally abandoned
awesome.
another question so that you could talk about Leonardo da Vinci for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Okay. I am a Leonardo da Vinci fan. I will also admit that the dude was maybe a little bit crazy.
So you don't believe in this unicorn thing that he clearly believed in?
I do not.
Okay. Well, if they were real, then he believes it, and I believe it would be true too. If they were real, I think the only way to capture them would be with virgins, and they would be very sought after. So that's how we would capture unicorns. We would need virgins. We can't use children because obviously child labor laws, and we don't want to like exploit children. There are more negative moral implications there.
You know, I think you might be able to convince some younger girls to go on a unicorn hunt.
Again, that would be exploiting children. Oh yeah, there was like, I guess there's an implication that it's female virgins, but they never, at least in the sources that I said, they never explicitly said female virgins. So we can include others too, other virgins. Why not? So we can't use children. So basically, if unicorns are real, I think like being a virgin would be a lifelong business decision because there's so much money in it. You can sell the unicorn horns to the medical field, and they're very high in demand. And as soon as you lose your virginity, your business dies. So you have to sustain your virginity, I guess, throughout your entire life if you want to keep it going. And virgins would just be very high status and be very valuable in society. So that's how you capture unicorns. But where can you find unicorns, like, in order to capture them? So when I think of a unicorn, I think of it like frolicking in like a forested area or something like that. That might not necessarily be accurate, though. So the Great Britain coat of arms has an image of a lion and a unicorn on it, and there's a reason behind that. So the Kingdom of England and their monarchy, like way back when, their coat of arms just had a lion on it. And then later, the Kingdom of Scotland and their monarchy, they chose a unicorn to put on their coat of arms because England had the lion on theirs, and the unicorn is, according to the folklore, is the natural enemy of the lion. And they have like this whole rivalry going on where they like fight for a crown.
Could it still be that they're referring to rhinoceroses?
Maybe they're in the same area. I don't know. And there's a whole nursery rhyme reflecting this rivalry. It's called The Lion and the Unicorn. And it goes, the lion and the unicorn were fighting for the crown. The lion beat the unicorn all around the town. Some gave them white bread, some gave them brown. Some gave them plum cake and drummed them out of town. So that's just reflecting the fight between the two creatures. And this rhyme was expanded upon in Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass, which is the sequel to Alice in Wonderland. And in that, the lion and the unicorn are also fighting over a crown. So it's a recurring rivalry that has continued to be a thing. So the unicorn became Scotland's national animal, even though it's not real. It is actually their national animal. And they have unicorns all over the place if you go to Scotland, like statues of unicorns, which I didn't know, but it's kind of cool. And in 1707, the Acts of Union merged the two monarchies, England and Scotland, into one monarchy. That was the formation of Great Britain. And that's why the coat of arms has the lion and the unicorn on it. So that's all based on this rivalry between the lion and the unicorn. And in order for this rivalry to form, in order for the unicorn and the lion to be enemies, they have to be in the same place. They're not going to be enemies if they never see each other. So the unicorn will be in sub-Saharan Africa, because that's where lions are. So if unicorns are real, we would send our virgins to Africa. Ben, what'd you do?
That's a very good ending point.
That was a clip from Absurd Hypotheticals, the podcast where we answer dumb hypothetical questions. For the full episode, click on the link in the description.